Hello sexy, it's Ainsley here, your life transformation coach for Daily Adventure Fest. So today I wanted to talk to you about your inability to let go of the past and how if you don't let go of your past, it will keep defining your future and keep defining who you are. And the reason this has come up is that I'm looking at a lot of forums and groups and different things and talking to different people who are having these issues within themselves and within their lives, and like they're letting things that have happened to them when they were younger or even not that long ago create the next part of their future. And they're spending their whole lives in this whole state of listlessness and fear that if they change, then things might, well, it's scary. It's very scary to change, especially even if it is something that was negative that happened to you in the past. And here's the problem with this, right? You're wasting life. You really are. You're wasting your whole life living in the past, living in these experiences and reliving these experiences over and over again. In my training, I talk about, I call it feeding the monster. And what feeding the monster is every time you think about it and then engage your emotions around it, you feed the monster. You're putting more burgers and pizzas and fish and chips and all sorts of things in that monster's mouth. And what happens when you feed the monster? It gets bigger. It grows. And so when you have these experiences, you relive them in your head constantly, which means that you are just making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And you get to this point where there's little you and then there's all these monsters all around you, and you feel like you can't actually climb your way out. You can't get through the monsters as such because it's sort of grown on top of you. Now, here's the best way to fix that, is to starve the monster. Guess what happens when you starve the monster? It gets smaller, okay, to the point where you can actually get on with your life and keep moving again. And in terms of starving the monster, you have to ignore these thoughts and these things that come up. And I know it's not just as cut and dry as that. Like, it's not just about going, all right, that's it, I'm going to ignore them. Like, obviously it takes time and it takes, daily practice and commitment to making sure that that happens for you. And how to do that? Well, first of all, you've got the main thing you've got to get honest with yourself is why the monster keeps coming up. Why you keep experiencing this level of pain. Because when you dig deep enough, when you really dig right into who you are, into the core of who you are, then and be honest with yourself about why you're not letting it go, then you can heal. Then you can start to create some really great things in your life because you don't have to focus on it anymore because you've made peace with it. And this is really, really important work, like really important work. And I find that a lot of therapies, a lot's changed these days. It's much more positive focus. But a lot of the old school therapists will talk about the problem, keep talking about the problem. You'll go into the therapist and talk about the problem. And then the next week you'll talk about all the problems that happened during the last week. And then you'll talk about more problems and you'll keep feeding the monster. You'll give it Snickers and you'll give it popcorn and you'll give it Coke and you'll give it all sorts of things, which keeps the monster alive. You're giving it the fuel to be there, to exist. And when you do that, this is what holds you back from this cracking amazing future. Like, I'm sure you've got these goals and dreams that you want to have or do in your life, but you're not doing them because you're buying in to this bullshit in your head that this is a part of who you are. This problem, this experience that you had is a part of who you are, and it's made up a part of your identity. And it's so dangerous. It's such a dangerous way to think when you consistently keep looking into this. I know that, I'm going to be controversial here, but with suicide, I remember I watched a Tony Robbins seminar once, and this guy, he got up and he was saying how he lost his multi-million-dollar business and lost his family as a result and was thinking about suicide. And Tony Robbins absolutely gave it to him. He said, how dare you think that you can just check out? What gives you the power and the right to just check out when the rest of us have to fight through this life? What gives you the entitlement to feel like you can do that, and do that to your family, do that to your children, do that to your parents? And this guy cried. Like, he absolutely cried. And it was very gutsy of him to do that. But this is the thing. He pulled him out of this state, out of the story that he kept telling himself that he wasn't good enough and that he wasn't worthy anymore because he'd lost his multi-million-dollar business. And it's the same thing, like I had to do it with myself when I was going through my periods, where I just pictured my parents' faces and thought, well, that's what would happen if I did. And who am I to hurt them, the people that I love? And so that pulled me out of it. And I mean, this video isn't so much about that, but the point I'm making is that that comes from consistently feeding your negative monster and focusing on this and this and this and this and this. And when you keep focusing on this, of course you're going to feel shitty. Of course you're going to feel bad. Of course you're going to want to hurt yourself. Because, like, what other options are there when you're looking at this? What other options do you have? As opposed to going in this direction and deciding what you want out of your life, how you want to be, who you want to be, how much fun you want to have, what experiences, what relationships. When you start focusing on this, this brings up your emotions. This makes you feel damn good. This makes you feel excited. And so this is a huge problem. This is born out of emotion. Well, they can be both born out of emotional addiction. Okay, and neuroscientists talk about emotional addiction and how we do become addicted to our emotions because the brain releases chemicals and it goes through our entire body, which creates feelings. And particularly negative emotions can be more addictive. It's like when you want to watch the news all the time and read papers and you're always reading negative stuff. Like, people that constantly do that are always in a state of depression and unhappiness and sadness and frustration and being miserable. And I know I'm an expert at this, not because I just read books, but because I've been through it myself and realized that I had to get my act together. Like, there was no one going to help me other than me to do that, because for as long as I keep feeding the monster, my own monsters, then it was just going to keep squashing me until I gave up. And that's just not the way to go. Like, it's insane. It's, you know, to think that you have to get to that point and do that to yourself and to hurt yourself. It's like, stop. Just stop. Because the experiences that you're missing out on and you're choosing not to have because you're so busy feeding this monster is huge. You have so much potential. Like, okay, I'm going to point at the garden, right? You have so much potential, so many opportunities and love and happiness and laughter in this direction if you choose to follow it and look for it. And this is where I mean, I can't say I get frustrated because I know how it feels. I know exactly how it feels. I've been there many, many times. I had to toughen the hell up. Like, I had to suck it up and toughen up. Because for as long as I kept buying into my stuff, I would never get what I wanted. It's kind of like, I had a client come to me and he's had a lot of depression in his life, like up and down, up and down. And he sent a message to me about 2 weeks ago and just said, oh, you know, I'm back and I'm depressed and this and this. And I said, well, while you're not looking forwards, you're slipping backwards. And it's the same thing for you, the same message. While you're not looking forwards at the things that you want, at the things that bring you to life and make you feel good, you will always slip back into the default position. Every day, you reset back to zero. Okay? And what I mean by resetting back to zero is that every day you have a choice of which way you're going to go. And you can build on this. Okay, to the point where the resetting back to zero and then making the conscious choice isn't so hard anymore. It gets way easier. But you have to make a commitment to stop buying into your own bullshit stories that it's not possible and it's too hard and you're not good enough and you're worthless and no one loves you. You've got to stop buying in to those stories and that belief of that. Like, you must, like, you have to. Because for as long as you keep buying into that, you are going to hurt yourself. you're going to feel shit. You're not going to take care of yourself. When you go to here, when you make a big list of all the really cool stuff that you could do in your life, travel, fall in love, have children, have pets, have a beautiful home on the beach, whatever you want, you can have. Like, you can have it. But you have to end the relationship with your monster. Just got to end it. That's it. And it's interesting, like, because of what I do, and I do a lot of personal development stuff on myself daily, and I got to the point where I realized that even though I was doing all this work on myself, I was still here. I was still going here. And so I'd slip backwards. And I couldn't move forwards because I was slipping backwards. And I knew it logically, but I needed to get it, like, subconsciously. I really needed to get it. Excuse me, hiccup. Get it and like understand it at a cellular level, that this here is not serving me, and it never will serve me, no matter how much I navel gaze it, no matter how much I analyze it. And over-analysis leads to paralysis. So you can look at it all you want, but it's not going to fix it. It's just making it bigger. And you've got to get honest with yourself and say, well, what am I not doing right now to heal myself? Like, I'm not exercising, I'm not doing this, I'm not looking for work, I'm not making new friends, I'm not being social, I'm not creating the things that I love to create. All of the things that you're not doing are why you're still here. And this requires actual effort. That's why it's so hard. That's why people find it so hard and struggle so much with it, because it is hard. It's hard. But what's the alternative? Like I told myself, you know, in business, for example, it's been it is the toughest road I've ever had to walk. And I keep telling myself, well, if you don't step up, what's the alternative? Going back to a job. I don't want to go back to a job. So there's no alternative. And you need to make that as well in your life. There's no alternative other than to move forwards, other than to look forwards to the things that you want. And make them big, like make them ridiculously big. My big dream is I want to buy land in Southeast Asia somewhere, I'm not specifically sure where yet, and rescue orangutans, elephants, and other animals, like farm animals and dogs. And I want to also have it as like bungalows so that rich people come and stay. I want to hold retreats there. That's exactly what I want. Might not happen for 10 years or 20 years, but that's what's going to happen. And so in between now and then, like, I'm living my dream now. I'm in Mexico and I'm house sitting. I'm looking after Carbo, the puppy dog. And that's what I've been doing, travelling around and house sitting for people while I work on Adventure Fest and create Adventure Fest. And, you know, everything that I've said I'm going to do, I've done. And, you know, that's not to make anyone feel bad for not doing that. I hope it motivates you to start doing that for yourself. Start attracting the things in your life you deserve. But don't feel like you deserve it if you haven't done any work for it. You have to do the work. You don't do the work, you don't get the results. It's as simple as that. You have to do work. So, that was a big one. Now, if you want to get started doing that, all you need to do is go to ainsleyam.com and book a consult. And I want you to get out here and play, because the world is waiting for you. So, have a cracking day.